ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930 present The Drive. Brought to you by Huntington Federal Savings Bank. Local then, local now. Member FDIC.
Welcome into the Thursday, March 12th edition. Your Drive begins now on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I'm your host, Paul Swann. You can join the program by calling the Miller Lite phone lines at 877-420-TALK. That is 877-420-8255. Miller Lite, hold true, great taste, only 96 calories. It is the original light beer. Well, today's going to be a different type of show because I was hoping we were talking about Marshall and the Conference USA tournament from the women's side. I was hoping that Marshall would get the upset, and we would have Tony Kemper on to talk about the victory, and then we would start looking ahead towards Marshall and Louisiana Tech in the Conference USA tournament. That was everything that I was hoping we would do today. But instead, with the NBA last night suspending league play for the foreseeable future, the dominoes started to fall. And we get the word maybe a few minutes before the women's game was supposed to tip that they had canceled the tournament. So the tournament gets canceled. Yesterday, Conference USA makes the announcement that we're going to limit fan access. We're aware of the situation. We're just going to limit fan access to this event. We're going to keep it with immediate family, essential personnel. We're going to keep all of that. And then we get the word today that Conference USA calling off the tournament. And then Conference USA follows that with a notice that effective immediately, all spring sport competition for Conference USA institutions suspended until further notice. Now, there's a difference between the word canceled and suspended. So there could be a rescheduling of events. I don't think we can do it with the Conference USA basketball tournament. I think that ship has sailed, due in part because the NCAA tournament has been called off, both the men's and women's basketball tournaments, and that is, of course, part of a complete cancellation of all remaining spring and winter championships. So, you put all of this together, we're going to have a few weeks at least without sport. Now, the NBA is going to reevaluate, I'm sure, in a timely fashion. NHL suspends their season due to the virus. They're hoping to play later on. They want to play. Don't know what that's going to look like. High school tournaments have been suspended. The girls' tournament was going on in Kentucky. That was over on our sister station, Cat Sports, in 93.3 and 1340. We were carrying that. And at the conclusion of the last game that was on the air, this is a little bit after 2 in the afternoon, it was announced that this would be the game. After this game is concluded, this thing is being suspended. So that means the boys' tournament as well. WVSSAC suspending the tournament. We don't know when that's going to resume, what that's going to look like, because some games have been played, some games haven't been, and then, of course, the boys' tournament would have been next week as well. So as I was coming in here a few minutes before, I had in my notes, waiting on word from NCAA. And, of course, the NCAA has come down with a decision. But this thing started to dominate. I mean, it really started to just bowl over. I mean, the dominoes started to fall. The ACC, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the SEC, and the Pac-12. Who would have thought that at least the SEC tournament would ever be canceled? So they canceled the tournaments. And then we get the word, the American, the Atlantic 10, the Conference USA tournament, the MAC, American East, Big Sky, the WAC. Go down the list. Tournaments were being canceled right and left. So what does this mean immediately? Well, it means that we don't have sport. What does this mean for Marshall athletics? Mike Hamrick, Marshall's athletic director, is going to join me on the program in a few minutes. He is going to call in. We're going to talk to him and kind of find out what does this mean in the short term and what he can tell us given the situation for the long term. I'm going to suspect that right now He can give me short-term answers, but I don't think there's anything long-term in place just yet. So we're going to talk to him because this isn't just canceling the basketball tournament. This isn't just canceling the NCAA tournament. This is canceling sport until further notice, and that is spring sport competition. No baseball, no softball, none of that. And we're going to talk to Mike about that. Of course, the pros, they're all going through their own system. I know locally, the West Virginia Power won't play for a while. David Kahn is going to join me here later on in the program. We're going to talk to him about how this impacts at least one professional team in the state of West Virginia and kind of get his expertise on this as well. So we'll talk to him later on. But Mike Hamrick's going to call in here in a few minutes. So I'll tell you what, we're going to take our break early. That way we'll give him time to get in and he doesn't have to wait long because right now, Marshall, I don't know what their travel plans are, if they're leaving tonight, if they're going to be leaving in the morning tomorrow, because I'm sure a lot of teams have got to get out of Frisco and what the charter situation is. So I want to give him as much time as we can give him. At the same time, keep him on as needed because, again, their travel plans, unless there's an update I don't know of, their travel plans right now are they're coming home soon. I'll just say that. I'll leave it at that, and we'll talk to Mike Hamrick. He's going to call in here in a few minutes, so we'll talk to him when we come back from break. Later on, I'm going to talk to David Kahn, just kind of get an update from him, different perspective because the West Virginia Power and minor league baseball. And baseball in general, I mean, we didn't even mention that. Baseball in general, they're pushing the season back at least a couple of weeks. The NFL, at this moment, canceling their spring meetings or suspending or postponing, but they're not going to suspend their calendar. We'll see how far that progresses. We'll talk about all of this when we continue on today's edition of The Drive here on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Welcome back to today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. I want to welcome to the program now the Director of Athletics at Marshall University, Mike Hamrick. Mike, thanks for joining me today and doing this. I know it's probably been a trying day trying to put all this together.
Paul, it has not been a fun day, and it's probably been one of the toughest days I've ever been involved with in college athletics and in sports in general. I don't think we've ever seen a day like this, to be real, quite frank and honest with you. A situation that's nobody's fault, but will affect so many people's lives. And so it has not been fun. No, it has not been.
Well, the tournament gets canceled, then Conference USA releases the statement that until further notice, all spring sports will be suspended. And that's going to, of course, impact a lot of travel, a lot of plans, a lot of trying to get people back here. You know, there's just so much logistically going on right now. But from a Marshall standpoint, you know, what are you and your department doing, or what are you dealing with right now in the wake of this?
Well, actually, Paul, I'm still in Dallas at the conference basketball tournament, and we've been in meetings for all day yesterday and today, trying to put together a plan for how we're going to do things. Obviously, last night we announced that we were going to continue to play the basketball tournaments with no fans. This morning, that decision was made to cancel the tournament after several things that had happened, and so then on the heels of that, based upon information, based upon talking with medical people, the decision was made to suspend until further notice all spring sports, and within the last 15 or 20 minutes, I think the NCAA just announced that they're going to cancel all winter and spring championships. So what that means is lacrosse, baseball, softball, golf, track, tennis, all those championships now are going to be canceled. And so again, that just happened in the last 15 or 20 minutes. So the point is, it's like a fastball coming at you, one right after the other. You deal with one, and then you get a different one, and then you get another one, and then you get another one, and that's what we've been dealing with. But But Paul, this is unprecedented. I mean, this is something we've got to get our arms around, and I think the right decisions are being made, unfortunately, to try to get our situation around this coronavirus. And I think what people need to understand, and it took me a little time to understand, the World Health Organization actually declared this a pandemic. I mean, there are lives at stake. This is not about hitting a baseball or making a free throw. This is about keeping people safe. And I think that's a priority.
Mike Hamrick is joining us, Director of Athletics at Marshall University. So still in meetings right now, still in Dallas trying to put your arms around it. What do you think the response will be from the Marshall level? Because I know you got to keep your student athletes safe. You got to make sure that everybody's taken care of. How do you attack this? Or are you still in that point where you're trying to figure out how do you attack this?
Well, we first of all, we have to do what we're told. I mean, the conference made the decision that we're suspending all activities until further notice. Now, we will continue to let our teams practice if they choose so. Some student athletes might choose not to practice as we see how this thing plays out. Paul, it's playing out every hour. I mean, last night we found out that an NBA player had the virus. This morning we find out another NBA player has the virus. And things are happening as we speak, and we just have to kind of continue to deal with it. But every decision you make, you have to have in the back of your mind, or maybe in the front of your mind, the health and safety and welfare of your student athletes, your coaches, your fans, me and you. I mean, this can affect me and you. The coronavirus doesn't discriminate against anyone. And I think we found that out. And I'm not a doctor. I don't profess to be. And I listen to medical people. And medical personnel were involved in every decision, I'm sure, that's been made concerning how we're dealing with the coronavirus. And those are the people that know and have worked with us and consulted us to where we make these types of decisions. And Paul, this is not a Conference USA decision. This is a Big 12 decision, an ACC, Big 10, Pac-12. They all canceled their tournaments. Some schools right now, as we speak, are canceling all their spring sports. And but what we're going to do in Conference USA, we have postponed our spring sports to try to get a better grip, a better handle on this, and see what happens. Some universities have announced they're suspending their spring sports until a certain date, and then they're going to reevaluate it. So I guess what we're doing at Marshall's, we're evaluating things every day, and we're making decisions, and we could change those decisions down the road. But at this point, I'm not sure I can tell you what decisions will be made and what decisions will be changed because things are happening by the hour.
Marshall University Athletic Director Mike Hamrick with us. Now, I know none of us are medical personnel, but as far as the medical health and well-being of your student athletes and just everyone involved in athletics right now, how do you see that going down as far as testing or if you're sick, stay home? We know the common sense stuff, but how do you see this progressing as far as just to make sure that student athletes are as healthy, are healthy or safe?
Well, we've been in constant communication with our medical people in Huntington. I mean, we have two medical doctors here with us on our trip to the basketball tournament. Our medical care for our student athletes, I would put it at the top of the list. Our doctors are fabulous. We are communicating with our doctors. They are communicating with our coaches and our staff, and we are communicating with our student athletes. We've indicated to them if they have any issues, they know where to go, they know who to call, and we know the protocol to deal with the issues that we could anticipate that they would have. So I think our medical care for our student athletes is fabulous. It's always been that way, and that's what this is, Paul. This is not a whether we're going to play baseball or softball or basketball issue. This is a health issue. And somebody asked me the question today, why do you think it's necessary to do all these things? Canceling games, canceling seasons, not letting fans in the stadium. And I said there's a lot of unknowns. Right now, you and I are talking on the radio. There's tons of unknowns of what's going to happen with the coronavirus. And you know what, Paul? Unknown is a very, very powerful thing. What you don't know is very powerful. And what we do know is we're dealing with a very serious medical issue that where it goes, I don't think anybody knows. We don't know. But the best thing to do is be prepared for it and try to isolate it, try to diminish it, and based upon the decisions we've made from the recommendations from the professionals and directives from the professionals, that's what we're trying to do.
Mike Hamrick, my guest, Director of Athletics at Marshall University. So is there anything that you would like out there or known, anything that maybe we didn't go over that we should touch on? Because you're right, this is unknown territory. I mean, I don't know what to ask you because I don't know how what the response is going to be as far as what we're doing as a community, as medical professionals from hour to hour. I mean, this is so new to all of us.
Well, it is new, Paul, and our university's on top of it. Our president, Dr. Gilbert, has gotten way ahead of this thing days before today, and the university has made decisions, which I'm sure you're aware of how they're going to function and how they're going to operate with canceling classes next week, then spring break, then online academics, and we have a call every day. We communicate every day. The university does, and athletics is a big part of that. And we just felt it was in the best interest of our student athletes at this point to suspend activity where, for example, we were going to put our baseball team on an airplane to travel to Rice to play baseball this weekend. Well, Rice canceled classes this week because of the coronavirus. And I'm going to send – so they thought it was serious enough on their campus, and I'm not sure if they had any cases on their campus or not. They probably did, or in their area. They thought it was serious enough to cancel their classes. And then I'm going to put our baseball team on an airplane and send them to Rice for 3 or 4 days. And that was the situation, Paul, that every athletic director in our conference is currently dealing with. No, it's safer for our student athletes right now to stay in Huntington, to stay in the setting they're in until we get a handle on what's going on. And when and where that handle takes place, Paul, I don't know. But this is a much, much bigger issue than hitting a baseball or making a basket or hitting a tennis ball. It's and again, we're going to if I make mistakes, or our president or our conference or our leaders, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to err on the side of the student athletes' welfare and health, and our coaches' health and welfare, our fans' health and welfare, and the university's health and welfare.
Just on a personal note, I don't think you're making a mistake at all, because it's not just am I at risk for it? It's who's at risk for it when I have it and who I'm spreading it to. Because I have family that are high risk as well. I've got to be careful for them, and so do you, I'm sure, and everyone else involved. So no, I don't think there's a mistake at all. I think this is the right thing. On a personal note, I applaud you for it.
Well, Paul, I don't think the NCAA, with all the resources they have and the medical staff and the professionals they have, I don't believe they would cancel the NCAA basketball tournament and all their spring championships unless in their minds they felt it was the best thing to do for all concerned. I really believe that, and that's why I'm very supportive of everything that has happened. Now, on the other side, you're taking a lot of things away from student athletes as far as competing, and if you're a senior and you're having a great year and so forth. But in the big picture, life is a lot bigger than playing a 9-inning baseball game or a 7-inning softball game. Your health is, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything, and that's kind of the priority that we've taken. And I'm proud of our conference. I'm proud of our commissioners, our athletic directors, our presidents. We made some tough decisions that in some realms of this world or this community or this university might not be popular, but we believe it's the best decisions that were made and needed to be made.
Mike Hamrick with us, the Director of Athletics at Marshall University. Thank you. I appreciate you coming on and clarifying a few things. I know this has got to be a trying day, and it's not over for you, I'm sure.
No, it's not. I mean, I think we're right in the middle of it right now, and we'll just have to see where it goes. But we're going to do what the professionals tell us to do, and we're going to try to do everything to keep everyone safe here on our side of the fence.
Stay safe. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir.
Okay, Paul, thanks for having me on.
That's Mike Hamrick, Director of Athletics at Marshall University. So he's still in Texas, and more importantly, everyone seems to be in a good spot right now. Hopefully that will continue. We will continue on with today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Now, back to The Drive with Paul Swann on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Coming up in a few minutes, we're going to hear from David Kahn from the West Virginia Power. Usually it's a fun time with me and David, but Minor League Baseball among the sports impacted by several suspensions, cancellations of the coronavirus, COVID-19. We'll talk to him here in a few minutes. I don't know where we go from here for the next few days, few weeks, a couple of months maybe. I don't know. I don't know where we go. If this is going to be the new norm for a little while, we're going to have to adjust to it, obviously. Sports is where we go to escape, to release. And right now the real world is impacting that as well. So I don't know where we go, but I do know this. I think this is the right thing to do. Completely the right thing to do, because we are talking about a serious medical issue right now, and this is a major preventative measure. It's not on a whim that these things happen. It is a major preventative measure to minimize the spread of this disease, this virus. That is what's happening here right now. And so I know there are some who are maybe upset that they didn't get to watch the game today, or there are some that are upset that they're not going to be able to watch the game tonight, or their favorite league is canceled or suspended. They don't get to watch the NBA game. Hey, you know what? I'm a hockey fan. I don't get to see hockey either, but I'm going to be okay with it. I'm going to be okay right now because, again, these are some, I think, very wise, smart decisions, plain and simple. And we need to be prepared. I mean, you can't compare this to the flu. And I know I've seen those comparisons online, and trust me, online is not necessarily where I should be going for the pulse of America, but I see people, and this is all anecdotal, so take it as you will, all anecdotal, but there are some who are comparing this to the flu and trying to trot out flu statistics. Well, the flu is a different animal altogether. And so this is where we're at right now, and hopefully we can get past this. This thing peaks off, and it's going to be a lower peak because we're minimizing the risk of transmission. I mean, this thing, if I understand correctly, and again, I'm not a medical professional, and hopefully I'll have some on here in the program the next few days and weeks to give us correct, accurate, and viable information, but this thing spreads like the measles, not like the flu. So that's what we're going to be talking about here, at least in the interim, because of the fact that it is impacting our sports lives. And unfortunately for Marshall, no chance of winning the Conference USA tournament. I would have loved to have been talking about the game today. I thought they played well. They had to hang on to win it, but I thought they played well. I really was impressed with Tavion Kinsey's performance. I thought he did a magnificent job, but none of this really is important now compared to what's happening today and with the NCAA canceling championships. Unfortunately, it's going to be the end of the road for some of these athletes. And, these are going to be issues as far as eligibility. These are going to be issues that will be tackled after this is a crisis that has passed, or this is an event that has passed over. So there'll be time for questions like that when we get to that point. David Kahn, I want to get him on here early, so we're going to have him come on next, and we'll talk about what's happening with at least minor league baseball, get his insights on what's happening with baseball in general. And if we have time, we'll get your phone calls in. It's The Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Buckle up. Paul Swann has the wheel on The Drive, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
Welcome back to this Thursday, March 12th edition. It is The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930. Now, usually when I have David Kahn with me on the program, it's a cue for a lot of you maybe to buckle up. A lot of comedy is involved. A lot of, I don't know how to describe what it is, but it is. Unfortunately,
yes, you do. It's Swann and Kahn.
Yeah, it's Swann and Kahn. I know, but we can't have that kind of fun today, unfortunately. And that's what kills me about this. Because
this is a serious conversation.
Yeah, David Kahn's with me. My friend, David Kahn from the West Virginia Power.
Yes, indeed. Hello, friend.
How are you doing?
Well, I've been better. I mean, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
But first, physically speaking, I'm okay.
Well, here in a few weeks...
I'm healthy for now.
Good.
So.
Good. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
Here in a few weeks,
right, exactly.
as I've been telling people, not in a flippant way, but I've been dead serious, wash your damn hands is basically what I've said for the last...
Yes, please wash your hands for 20 seconds or more every time, and do it like 7 times a day. You can deal with dry skin.
Yeah, exactly. And with that said, David's with us today because, like all other leagues, there has been a pause. Some have been canceling events. Others have been pushing back events. Baseball is taking the stance that we're going to push back the season. There's a lot of season to be played. They're hoping that a strategic maneuver like pushing the season back a few weeks will still allow the season to happen and at the same time prevent the spread of this virus, and that includes minor league baseball.
It does. Unfortunately, it does. I will say personally, I agree with the decision. I think it's the right move for everyone involved, especially with what's happening with the NCAA and college athletics right now, and the NBA and all the other leagues out there. I think the Major League Baseball and minor league baseball made a swift action and a right decision. But what is happening right now, at least with the minor league baseball landscape and the West Virginia Power, is that our season will not start on April 9th. I don't know any more than that. But our season is delayed indefinitely, and what that means is really that our season is delayed until a more firm and concrete plan can be created and accepted by Major League and minor league baseball. And they're doing that to protect the safety of the fans, the players, the front office staffs, all across the landscape of minor league baseball. And I think it's the right decision. Unfortunately, it's very tough, and as a representative of the Power, we wish we could play baseball on April 9th and start our openings, our 2020 season at home. And unfortunately, that's just not the case right now due to the coronavirus and the spread of COVID-19. It's the right decision to suspend the season or delay the season for an indefinite amount of time until we can get a better handle on this disease, its spread, how to control it, how to contain it, how to treat people that have it, et cetera, because there's just so many unknowns right now that none of us can deal with. And we don't know how to deal with because we've never dealt with something like this before. I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, and I said this is the worst spread pandemic since that I've been alive for. I was around for swine flu, Ebola, other stuff like that, and this is way worse. And it's just because we don't know. There's so many unknowns to deal with, and so for that reason, we have to delay the start of the season. And when we know more, we'll tell more. But really, that's all we know.
David Kahn's with me from the West Virginia Power. Now, I don't know what the answers are right away, but I'm still going to ask the question.
Sure.
What will the Power do directly as an organization? I'm kind of curious. We're going to see more hand sanitizers, a scouring of facilities. These are kind of things I was kind of curious with when I was speaking with Mike Hamrick as well, but it's still so new. But have there been any talks about once things get going and what's going to happen in between the delay of the season to the start of the season? Because
So I'll say this. So we are certainly going to institute the highest quality of safety measures that we can for public safety, including hand sanitizers and Purell, and making the ballpark as clean as it has always been. We are still discussing all of these measures, and when we have a concrete plan in place, it'll be released and disseminated to the public, through our social media channels, our website, and through a public release. We are trying to cooperate with minor league baseball and Major League Baseball and come up with the best possible solution that protects our fans and protects our players. Make sure everyone can come to Charleston and have a safe and wonderful time at the ballpark each night in and night out. And until we come up with the best possible solution, we're not going to say anything publicly, but we are certainly already underway with upping our health measures and making sure that everything is way above board in terms of public safety, especially in terms of the cleanliness and health of our ballpark for our players and our fans and our staff.
And this doesn't just go with the Power. This goes for all of minor league baseball as well. There's going to be certain standards because you're going to be traveling. As soon as the season begins, you're going to be traveling. And so you're expecting the same thing when you go to a visiting ballpark, which I'm sure it will be in place. But that's going to be a concern as well as perception will be reality for a lot of fans. And I know it's going to be hard to maybe get some fans to come back out. And these are challenges we can deal with, of course, after all of this passes. But still, you got to make sure that everything is in place. And I'm just kind of curious at least how that works on a minor league baseball level because, let's be honest, you don't have the resources of Major League Baseball.
That's the great thing about being affiliated with Major League Baseball is that we do have some access to those resources. And in times like these, Major League Baseball is very open to disseminating those resources to us. But we certainly understand that, fans are concerned, and we are looking to alleviate those concerns as much as possible. Right now, unfortunately, we don't know much more than they do. The release was sent out from minor league baseball, and we released it ourselves. But, that was the first decision that's been put out. And like I said, we're going to continue to provide updates as we can, but we'd like to just tell the fans to, stay patient, stay excited for baseball. We anticipate playing baseball this year, a majority of this year. And just stay with us. We're going to reschedule all of our promotions that we might miss, when we can. And we're working on a lot of different things right now. But as I said, this is fresh and new for all of us, just like it is for the fans. Until we can figure out the exact right way to handle this, we're gonna sit down and figure it out and then put a plan together and execute it. But we tell the fans to stay patient with us and to stay healthy and safe and, be with your families, limit travel as much as possible, listen to the news and what medical professionals are putting out there about washing your hands, keeping a social distance away from other people. And, if you do feel sick, please go to a doctor. This is not the type of situation where if you feel sick, you can just, hope your immune system fights it off. This is a real problem. And if you have a disease, and if you have an illness, please go get it treated. There is ways to get treated and have this virus contained. And, you are your own decision maker with that. And if there's kids out there, listening, please tell your parents, tell your teachers, tell your neighbors that if you feel unwell, and please go get yourself treated. The goal of this delay is to control and contain the virus so that it doesn't spread anymore. It only does that if people follow through with, getting themselves treated if they do feel unwell.
David Kahn with me, the voice of the West Virginia Power, minor league baseball, following along with most of all of professional sports and trying to fight the spread of the coronavirus COVID-19. And hopefully we get baseball back soon and we can get back to our usual conversations, which amount to 90% something else and 10% baseball. That's what I'm looking forward to, David.
Yes, I'm looking forward to that as well. Hopefully we can get back to those very soon. Unfortunately, this is something that is put on pause. The NCAA tournament, a lot of college athletics, professional athletics. And we certainly wish that wasn't the case, but it is something that we have to deal with. And, we're prepared to take it on and deal with this challenge and make sure the 2020 season, occurs and, that we have a season for our fans, because we feel bad that this is happening and that we wish there was more we could do. But unfortunately, we are at the mercy of minor league baseball, and we stand firm in our support of their decision. We want to get this behind us as much as possible, but we have to work with them on that situation.
David Kahn with me from the West Virginia Power. For more updates, go to wvpower.com. And I'm suspecting we're at least looking. You think the season's going to be more in concert with what Major League Baseball does as far as when play actually begins?
Yeah, I'd agree. I would agree with that 100%.
David's with me, of course. Not only is he the voice of the West Virginia Power, of course, you work for Learfield IMG as well. So you have.
I do. Learfield IMG College's season is over. For basketball.
I was going to say you sort of know a little bit more just because of where you work, what's going on, and this one is we've not seen anything like this. At least I haven't in my lifetime.
No. Well, Paul, I'll tell you this. I'm in Winston-Salem right now, actually. I'm working championship week, and I was in the building this morning when the announcement came out, and it was kind of just like a look of shock around the building that was just, we had broadcasts on the air, and, they were ended abruptly because the game was canceled. That was it. So it was a very sombering feeling around the building today. I'll say that.
I think what was interesting about it, how it went down, is just, as you mentioned, there were games going on and there were games about to begin, and then just the sudden nature of it started to fall like dominoes, and that's how quick it was. 1 minute you're getting ready for a game, the next minute they're pulling people off the court, and that we got a preview that yesterday with the NBA. That sort of set the stage for this.
Correct, 100%. And it's not, it was unexpected almost, and then all of a sudden, like you said, boom, 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 everything's canceled. Thankfully our season so far is not canceled; it's delayed, and hopefully it doesn't come to that. But that is a possibility. I'm blunt about the fact that is an option that is not it's not the most pressing option right now. They're trying to play the season, but it is out there. It's a thought.
David Kahn with us from the West Virginia Power. We'll get back together soon. I'm looking forward to it. But as I tell everyone, stay safe. This is a new one for me too. It
is.
Yeah,
yep.
It's new
wash
for all of us.
And, we'll wash your hands, bump elbows, and we'll talk soon.
I'm not even bumping elbows, David. I'm not even doing that.
Give the elbow tap.
I am practicing. I don't know how Marshall termed it. Social
distance?
Yeah, social distance. I am practicing social distance.
All right. Well, you do that.
Yeah. This is how I'm going to talk to you for the rest of the year, just through the phone.
Great. Sounds good, Paul.
David, thanks, buddy. Hopefully we can smile again about this.
I always smile when I get to talk to you, so we'll talk then.
Thanks, sir. David Kahn with me, the voice of the West Virginia Power. Appreciate him coming on the program and telling us a little bit more what's going on with minor league baseball. And, of course, that is what's happening with a lot of professional sports. And you're seeing high school tournaments being postponed, canceled. I don't know how we're going to reboot some of these. If you can reboot, of course, the NCAA canceling championships, so there's not going to be a rebooting. There's not going to be that outside chance that they're going to have March Madness in some form in a different month. Maybe it's not going to happen anytime soon, and I'm completely on board with the decision right now. So that's where we're at as far as this is concerned. Where do we go from here? Well, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll find out over the next few days, few weeks. We'll reevaluate it. We'll hopefully see that this is a proper preventative measure and this minimizes risk and exposure. And that's the key here. We're minimizing risk and exposure. We are not putting people in large groups where they can mingle and then transmit it to one another, and then take it and bring it back. Because the NCAA tournament is a completely different animal compared to, say, a basketball game at your local high school or a basketball game at your conference tournament. I mean, the footprint is bigger. And, of course, there's still that footprint, but the footprint for the NCAA tournament, much bigger. People are coming from all points, all corners, and then gathering in one location and then dispersing. And this is a, I think, wise measure to make sure that that doesn't happen. And so we don't have March Madness this year. We don't have a few weeks of baseball. So we don't have a few weeks of hockey. So we don't have a few weeks of the NBA. I mean, the NBA, I think, really set the stage because once a player tested positive, they shut it down. And that was the best thing to do. That was the smartest thing to do. I don't think there's, other than, I think, racing right now. Other than racing, I don't know of too many sports that are still going on. Of course, I haven't heard anything from the XFL as what they're going to be able to do. But I know they're going to have games without fans if that continues. We're getting to that point now where pretty much everything is going to be shutting down over the next couple of days and weeks as far as sporting events are concerned. Of course, we'll keep you updated right here. The thing is, what are we going to do tomorrow and the next day? What's the plan here for us? We'll be back on the air tomorrow. I can say that as much. We'll be back on the air tomorrow. We'll hopefully have a little bit more information. We'll talk about the impact of all this. And, of course, we'll get your phone calls in as well. We haven't forgotten about that, so we'll be taking advantage of all of that. But where do we go from here? That's going to be our next thing to talk about. Where do we take this? Is this going to translate into a few weeks, a few months, several months? How long is this going to translate into? But I mean, we've got a historic event happening here. The first time in its history, the NCAA canceling March Madness. The NCAA tournament, for the first time ever, being canceled. I mean, we are set to get ready for basketball next week, and it all flips within hours today. And, of course, as I mentioned, we sort of saw this stage being set last night by the NBA. All right, that's going to do it for this edition. Thanks for tuning in. I don't know where we go from here, but we'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. I want to thank David Kahn from the West Virginia Power, also Mike Hamrick, Director of Athletics at Marshall University. For our in-studio producer, Spencer Dupuis, I'm Paul Swann. Thanks for tuning in on today's edition of The Drive on ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.
WRBC Huntington, W227BS Huntington, your flagship home of the Marshall Thundering Herd and The Drive with Paul Swann, ESPN 94.1 FM and AM 930.